Welcome to the Delegate podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I had this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, filler, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental A-Team podcast. Hello, Dental A-Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, I am excited because I have one of my dear friends. She's someone that I've spoken with quite a few times, and she's coming to Women Dentist Connect virtual. If you guys have not snagged your tickets, this is a great place to be able to do virtual Team CE. You guys, hello, welcome to 2020. I think we're all kind of in that drag of society. We've had that low level stress for quite a while. It's time to ramp up and amp up your teams. So I'm excited. Dr. Summer Caswell and I are going to be doing Women Dentist Connect virtual. It's for all women anywhere in dentistry. You don't have to be a dentist to attend, and men, don't worry, you are invited. Hello, it's virtual on Zoom, so you can join as well. But I'm excited because we have one of our speakers, Dr. Gina Dorfman. You guys probably know her. She's the mastermind and the owner of Yappy. And she's also going to be speaking with us. And I'm excited because she is a powerhouse of a woman. She's got lots of cool ideas. So I'm excited to welcome her to the show today. Dr. Gina Dorfman, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited. I'm excited about the show. I'm excited about Women Dentist Connect. It's a bittersweet in a way because the energy at the last event was just absolutely incredible. You guys, and I told you that last time, you put on an incredible event. The bonding, the camaraderie, the material. It was one of the better organized, one of the most fun events that I've been to, and also sort of actionable content packed events, which is not always the case. So that was great.
Thank you.
Yes, you absolutely deserve it. You and Dr. Caswell, you absolutely deserve every bit of praise. But I am also kind of a silver lining type of a person. So while I am a little bit upset that I can't get out there and hug everyone, we were just talking about how I'm a hugger. I think this is a great opportunity for more women to join because actually last year's topic that I lectured on was life-work balance, which is, I don't even know if I'm qualified, but
I think you are, Gina. I think you are. You've got a lot of goodness in there, and I love hearing how you do it because I'm equally curious how to do it. And it's nice to connect with a female because I feel like I can relate with you more. I mean, yes, there's males that are great role models. I love Tony Robbins and Brendon Burchard and Mark Costas, and there's so many great people out there. But Gina, you're a female. You're just like me. You have the stresses that I have. You deal with the hormones like I deal with those hormones. That is your life. And so to see you do it, I feel like I can connect better with you than maybe some of the other mentors that I have in my life as well.
Thank you for saying this. And I think that's the power of the event that you guys are putting on together, Women Dentist Connect. We have the same types of pressures. It's like you're trying to balance being a powerhouse and working. And, I'm always the one who's I don't want to have special treatment because I'm a female. I want to have special treatment because of what I'm accomplishing. But I'm also wanting to look pretty. And, you mentioned you're doing this photo shoot tonight with your husband. And, I want to keep my husband happy and my two kids happy. And I want to participate in their school lives. And I think that as women, we just have a separate set of demands that we have on us. And a lot of it is self-inflicted, really, patients. But it's great to hear and connect with other women and just learn from them. I was actually talking to someone yesterday, really someone that I admire greatly, Cameron Harold, who is the former CEO of 1-800-JUNK. I mean, this man founded and took 3 companies from a few million to 100 million businesses before his 42nd birthday,
wow.
Right? So he's an all-powerful male. And I'm talking to him, and I'm, and I'm realizing that I want all of those same types of accomplishments, but I also want that life-work balance. I also want to see my kids, and I really need my team and those around us, to support us. And he said something very, very powerful. He said, you can, when we go to dental school, we don't learn any dental. He's not a dentist, but he actually consulted with a number of large dental groups. He said, when we go to dental school, we don't take any business courses, and we can go to a business school, but we can also learn to from other people, learn their shortcuts. We don't have to do it the hard way, right? And so this is the value of joining Women Dentists Connect and learning from other powerful women. How do they do it? How do they balance this all? How do they delegate? How do they rely on their team to accomplish so much? Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right?
You're exactly right. And Gina, I love that you have that, and you're exactly right. I believe that success leaves clues. And so you don't have to take the hard route. You don't have to go and learn with other people. You can actually have people mentor you and show you. And they say, if you want to get somewhere or you see a role model, the best thing to do is go straight to the source and learn from them and ask them. And so Dr. Summer Caswell and I put together an incredible speaker lineup, and we purposely choose women who are moms, who are, they're running successful businesses, whether it's a dental office or a separate business. I mean, Gina, you got a side hustle that's your main hustle in addition to your dental practice. And that's what I love, is to show what is possible. I know when I go into practices, I get the privilege of seeing hundreds of offices in person. And when I work with certain teams, I'm like, not to compare you, but to show you that these things are possible, to expand what you believe is possible. And that's what I love about Women Dentists Connect, is I feel like we're truly expanding what people believe is possible in themselves, in their businesses, and showing them mentors and people that have done it, so they can just, success leaves clues. So pick up those clues, mimic and mirror it, and create it for yourself. So you guys, I forgot to mention, Women Dentists Connect will be November 13th and 14th. Pop on over to womendentistconnect.com. It is 50% off of all tickets. And if you use coupon code, I think it's Gina, right? Gina, since you're on.
It's my name, Gina.
Yep, if you use Gina, Gina, you actually get a BOGO. So it's 50% off, plus you get a buy one, get one. There is no reason you and all your female friends and all your team members at Docs, this is the cheapest CE you're ever going to get your team. And they get to learn from really strong powerhouse women. So Gina, I'm curious. I know you mentioned you and I spoke. The last time I saw you was actually at VOD. Feels like a lifetime ago, because that was right before the shutdown. That was my last event. Voices of Dentistry, Gina and I were there. But Gina, you talked about, and I think this is a really powerful topic that I'm curious if you'll dive into with us, of how you have become an absentee owner and how you have a practice that literally can run without you. Plus you run this, Yappy's a huge business. You were first to market on that. You've got the golden road to that path. And so kind of walk us through some of the things that you've learned on your way that's really made you a successful absentee owner, and having a practice that can run without you, and also a business to do the same.
Thank you. So first of all, we need to talk about self-limiting beliefs, because, and you mentioned something earlier where you said, I want to go into practices and I consult with other practice owners and I show them what others are doing, not because we're comparing, but because we want you to see what's possible.
Totally.
Because what's right for me is not necessarily right for someone else. And when I'm talking about a practice that runs without you, not around you, I'm not necessarily talking about creating an absentee practice. Sure, that's one way around. And honestly, when I went into a dental school, I had this model of practice in my mind that I thought would be a good fit for the life that I wanted to live. And when I was at the last event, I talked about sort of envisioning what kind of life you want to live, and then reverse engineering to figure out what does your practice need to look like to fit that model. And that's what I did. And so I ended up with a practice that had associates, so that, and it's not because I'm lazy. I'm like a lot of things, but lazy is not one of them. But I wanted to have the flexibility to do other things. I didn't even know at the time what those things would be. I didn't know, Yappy wasn't something that materialized until way later. I thought I might want to spend more time with my kids rather than folding laundry next to them. I wanted to get on the floor and play with them and know that my office is not going to fall apart because I'm not there. I wanted to know that I could travel. I wanted to know that I could start another business if I wanted to. I just wanted to, even if I had a back injury, and I couldn't work anymore, I still wanted to know that I could be productive and growing things. And I really, for me, growing things is the most fun thing to do. Like you start with nothing and then you have this dental practice, which most of us have done, right? Or you start with nothing and then you create a software, and that's the most amazing. The process is amazing. And then like when it's working well, you kind of get a little bored and you need a next project.
Right. You got it. Once you like tap that goal, then go for a bigger goal. Like that's how I feel. It's like you just keep climbing that mountain.
Exactly. So, and I just actually literally, when you said this, I had this visual of that rock climbing when you're like reaching for the next rock.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes. So,
I had that when because I wanted to be a practice owner. That was something I thought would be like, I'll be so old when I become a practice owner. And then I hit that goal. I was 25 when I owned my first dental practice with another dentist. Obviously, I'm not a dentist, so I pair up with some docs out there. And I remember thinking, shoot, like I hit that goal way too early in life. Like, what am I supposed to do now? So yes, exactly. That rock climber image of you just then set a bigger goal, and it doesn't have to be bigger each time. I don't have to own 25 practices, but like, what's my next level, my best self goal to keep aspiring and moving myself forward?
Absolutely. See, you just sort of gave me a perfect example of when I was talking about self-limiting beliefs. How many 25-year-olds do you know out there who are going to be like, you know what? I'm not a dentist, but I want to own my dental practice by the time I'm 25, or like, I'm just going to do it. I mean, just imagine the negative, that tape, that self-doubting tape that plays in your mind that gives you all of the reasons why you can't do something. I don't have time, which really just means it's not important enough for me to pursue this, right?
Gina, say that again. All those offices I hear I don't have time. It's just because they don't have the energy to pursue it. They don't have the desire to pursue it. Okay, go on. I loved that.
It's just not important, and it could be anything. I don't have time to walk my kids to school. I don't have time to, make a home cooked meal. I don't have time. And I'm sound like a house mom, but for a lot of working women, like that's, and you're not going to get everything done. That's another thing and I talked about it at the last lecture. That's another thing where we fail. We say yes to everything because we don't want to disappoint anyone.
Right.
We need to focus on the right things. It's not how many things we're doing. It's not about doing things right. It's working on the right things. Done is better than perfect, but it has to be the right things that we're focused on. And we need to get out of those self-limiting beliefs. We need to get out of that guilt. Especially, I'm talking to moms here, the mom guilt. We get it from others. We get it from society. We get it from within. And it's interesting because when I talk to my kids, as much time as I spend at work, and I'm doing a lot of things with them, and you can probably tell from my social media that I'm involved with my kids' lives, obviously, but they're proud of me. They're not like, oh, I wish mom were home more often. Even though they do say that when mom is home and not dad, that they get away with more, but
I like it. So Gina, you just said something and it brought back a visual. I heard one of my good friends, guys, you can learn a lot of interesting things on those social media stories. So, you like, here's the gospel of social media right here. But she said on there that we often talk about juggling balls in our life. And there's that whole image of the 5 different balls. You've got your like work, you've got your relationships. And she said, actually, that's such a myth. And there's so many more balls that we're juggling all the time, but some are plastic and some are glass. And so making sure you don't drop the glass ones, because those, like you were saying, are the right things to focus on. But Gina, I'm going to spin that to you because honestly, I look up to you a lot. I feel like I'm an aspiring owner and, we don't have kids yet, but we hope to have kids one day. How do you determine what the right things are?
Well, that goes back to really visualizing your life. And when I say visualizing, we can all say, well, I want to have a nice life. I want to have a good marriage. I mean, these are not actionable. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I'm actually going to be talking about at Women Dental Connect is how do you create a practice that does exactly what you need in order for you to live your perfect life. But last year, I talked about creating your perfect life and sort of, envisioning it in such a detail that you understand, like, how much money do I need to make? How much time do I want to spend on this? How much time do I want to spend on this? What's important? What's not important? You take it, you take a blank piece of paper and you just start dreaming. You write your perfect life. And then you sort of reverse engineer to see what needs to happen in your life to get there. And you're going to do the same thing with your practice. You're going to create a vivid vision of and this is what I talked to Cameron Harold about, because that's actually it's coming from him. That's where I learned the idea of creating that vivid vision and reverse engineering to create the life and the practice that we want. And our good friend Dave Maloney, that's what he talks about: living intentional. And a lot of times we're just chasing the balls. We're like sweaty juggling hamsters on a treadmill of life. And you're right, some balls can drop and it's not important. And some balls don't need to be juggled at all. Right. Some balls we can delegate to someone else. Like, here, you juggle those because you got this. I'm going to go juggle the glass ones because those are the important ones. I'm only going to have 3 because that's what I'm focusing. Those are the right things. And how do you know they're the right things? It comes from your vivid vision. It comes from your reverse engineering this vivid vision. Here's something else. There are things that we enjoy doing that give us pleasure. There are things that we are really, really, really good at. And there are things that we should be the only ones doing. We can't delegate playing with our kids, right? We can't delegate a vacation, but we can delegate bookkeeping, And I know, and here's the problem, we don't delegate enough. And I'm going to talk about delegation and how do you delegate and how do you teach your team to become more comfortable, to take responsibility, to step up, to not be afraid to fail. Because a lot of times we try to delegate, but our team is not on board. But part of the problem is how do we delegate? We're like, okay, go tie your shoes and then come back. You had Mike Mikalowicz on
yes,
your
Mike.
That's what he talks about. Yes. He's like, he talks about people being like rivers, like they flow in the easy direction. So if you act like you're the only one who knows everything, people are going to come to you for answers for everything nonstop. And that's a big problem. How do you avoid this? You trust your people. You delegate authority, not just the responsibility. You share your vision with your team. If we create a vision, we know, actually, Cameron Harold made a great point on my show yesterday. He said, we feel like we know all the answers because we have the vision, but we don't share the vision with the team. And if you don't share that vision with your team, then how are we expecting them to bring that vision to life? And so because we have the vision, we have the right answers. But what if we continuously and consistently communicated that vision with our team? What if they knew exactly what the expectation is? When I talk about vision, I don't mean the practice mission, caring, comfortable, convenient dentistry. That's not actionable, right? Like that's everyone's office. Like who wants to do inconvenient, poorly done, uncomfortable, bad dentistry? Like that's no one's vision. So we have this idea of caring, comfortable, but that's not actionable. So a vivid vision, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. It's not my idea. It's Cameron Harold's idea. He gets full credit on that, of course, because he created the concept. But I talk about this because it's so critical that our teams know exactly what to expect from us as employees. I've actually heard you talk about this. And when you said this, it's like, it was at the last meeting, it was like all of those light bulbs all of a sudden went off. You were talking about, like, as an employee, I don't want to go in and hope that I am doing the right thing. I want to know, like, I don't need anyone to hold me accountable. I can hold myself accountable. I'm an adult. I can hold myself accountable, but I need to know what is expected of me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I need it to be detailed and clear so that I know when I'm doing a good job and I know when I'm not. And I also don't want to wait 6 months for a performance review for you to come back and tell me that everything I've been doing is wrong and I'm not getting a raise. I want you to tell me when I'm not doing something right, constructively. And I want you to praise me a lot and often and loudly and in front of everyone else when I'm doing the right things. If you catch people doing things right, they will do more of those things. That's just human nature. You say, this blouse looks great, and you're going to wear that blouse all the time.
It's true.
The way you set up this room is perfect. This is amazing. Wow, I want to hear that every time I set up the room, so I'm going to strive for that. And this is a small example, but we have to be really, really mindful of doing that. And so, we wear all those different hats and we juggle all those different balls, but really we're telling ourselves that we're the only ones who can do a job, which is not true. And then we say out to ourselves, or at least perfectly, we say, well, if someone else does it, it's not going to be as good as if I do it. But remember, done is better than perfect. And we say to ourselves, even if I find someone to do it as good as I can, by the time I find them and train them and explain what needs to do, and we go through a growth curve, or learning curve. By the time she's done, by that time I would have done it myself. But that's a lie. We're lying to ourselves, because all the time that you're doing work that could be delegated to someone who's actually good at it, like we're doing social media marketing as dentists, we're doing accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, staff management, conflict resolution. We're doing everything in our practices. We're the only ones who answer all of the questions. And what happens is we are burned out. We don't have time for anything. We go home and we still have this burden of this practice that we feel like we're not doing enough. And because of that, we also feel like we're not doing enough at home. And there are people that we can delegate to who will do it better, faster, for a lot less money, and it will be done. And it will probably be almost perfect. But if it's not perfect, it's good is better than perfect. I mean, good and done is better than perfect.
I totally agree. Gina, I was actually sitting over here taking notes because a few of the things I wanted to highlight were the vivid vision. I love having that because I think so often I know I've done it differently. Instead of people ask me all the time, Kiera, why are you building this business? And I'm like, well, before it was to pay off my husband's debt from school. Check, we did that. Then it was okay, we want to buy a house. And I'm like, okay, check, I've got everything ready to go. We're just looking for homes. Then it was, because I needed to have residual income and all these reasons, but I haven't ever really done that reverse of what is my vivid vision? What do I want my life to look like? Maybe not today, but in 5 years, 10 years, and having that vivid vision and then reverse engineering. Because I think we often just say, I'm going to build a business and I need to be busy because so-and-so is doing it. And Summer and I have prepared of why. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it for your family? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for other people? So I loved that imagery of a vivid vision and reverse engineering. And then, like you said, Dave Maloney said, live intentionally. But another thing you also said was delegate authority. I know myself, I feel like I'm still learning and growing. Sometimes I feel like a fraud, right? You're like, oh, my team actually isn't perfect. And we had issues. Who am I to give coaching advice when I have these issues? Don't worry, guys, I'm there right now. But I love that delegate authority because I think I might be chokeholding and strangling the trust factor by not meaning to, like you said, go tie your shoes and then come back to me. Well, I don't feel like I actually delegated. I delegated a task, but then they always feel like they have to come back to me. And I love that river analogy of they're just flowing back to you. So Gina, you hit on so many points of what people can do, build that vivid vision, work backwards, delegate authority, not just delegate tasks, and then living intentionally. And Gina, I will say, I think so often myself, and I'm curious how you did this or if this ever was a thing for you. I know a lot of dentists, a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, but Gina, if I delegate all those things and I only have 3 balls to juggle versus 45, am I a good leader? And what's my identity?
Okay, so actually, again,
I love this podcast, by the way. I'm loving this, Gina. It's just filling my soul right now. So thank you.
I love that. So I had this conversation yesterday, actually, with Kevin Harold, and he said, look, President Kennedy didn't sit there figuring out how to put a man on the moon. He just came in as the CEO of the country. He came in and he said, I want to put a man on the moon. And then the people at NASA, whose job it is to put the man on the moon, figured out how to put the man on the moon. And I think as dentists, we forget that, of course, we have a technical job of the producer. And right now I'm doing very little dentistry. I'm still practicing. I'm still doing a couple of hours a week, but I have more leadership responsibilities in my practice. And I've struggled with that because we're doers, right?
Yes.
We're used to producing something with our hands. We're used to being the smartest person in the room because again, Kevin Harold pointed that out to me. He said, when you were in dental school, you had to ace that exam. It wasn't a collaborative effort. What did the teachers say, in class when people start to share notes? They're it's not everyone's work. You have to
it's just yours. Yes.
It's just yours. And so we're used to that, but that's not how businesses grow. And so when you, and see, for me, I had the corporate perspective trying to grow a software company. You can't do it by yourself because I can't write code. I can't do QA. I couldn't sell software if my life depended on it. So I have certain responsibilities with my company, but I also have to rely on people to do other things. And I think in a typical dental practice, we're so used to coming out of dental school and owning every piece of everything that we sort of have our fingers in everything. There's another extent of that where it's I don't like doing billing or whatever. Like I'm not even going to look at that. And that's also wrong. But I think a lot of us are really feeling like we need to be involved with everything, and we really don't. And another point is we need to make sure that what we're checking, because a lot of times we feel like, okay, give me the checklist because I want to see that you've done all of these things that you should have done. But we don't always ask our employees, how was your day? How are you feeling? How are you feeling about yourself? How are you progressing with my company? How are you feeling stressed? Because a lot of it is part of the whole package. That's part of why we have turnover. That's why we have people not finishing their jobs. It's not about like, if I ask my employees to fill out a checklist and then turn it into me to prove that they've done everything I want from them, I just micromanage them to death. I'm not saying checklists are not important. They're very important because that's how we communicate what needs to be done. But I'm not going to sit there with a red pen, making sure that everything was crossed and dotted. But I do want to know that they feel like, come to me with your checklist and tell me how you feel about your accomplishments. Tell me where you stuck. How can I help you unstuck? Where are you short in resources? And we have I believe it's the Nordstrom's rule where, in Nordstrom, I think they can have like $200 where if a customer is not happy, anyone can make them happy. And that's how they're known for their legend. It could be Four Seasons. It's one of those. Uh-huh. I can't think of what it is. So in my practice, we call that the executive decision. And we have that $200 barrier where if it's going to cost me $200, don't even ask me. You know what I believe in. You've heard my vision multiple times. Mm-hmm. You've heard my expectations. You know what I stand for. You've read my SOPs. You know how to handle the situation. If it's going to cost me, whether it's a wrong decision or right decision, if it's going to cost me $200, don't even ask me. Just do it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And a lot of times when they come to me, and this is that part about, people are like rivers. When they come to me with a question, because sometimes they still do, especially newer employees, I put it back to them. I say, well, what do you think should be done? And it's mind blowing. They give you the exact right answer.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Because you've hired someone who's a good cultural fit, hopefully. We're going to talk about this at Women Dentists Connect, how to hire people who are a good cultural fit, because I believe that's everything, or at least 80% of everything.
Agreed.
You shared your vivid vision. You've shared your expectations. You told them before how you would like this type of a situation to be handled. They know the answer. They know they just need the confidence. And it's also important that when they come back to us, we don't shoot them back. We're not like, well, no, that was an awful decision. At that point, you just thank them for making a decision, whether it was right or wrong. And you can say, I think I would have maybe done it differently, but I really appreciate you taking a stand, taking a risk and making that decision. Because if you, if you're not, if you rip their head off for the wrong decision, they'll never do that again. They'll never speak up. They'll never stand up. They'll never feel comfortable. And that's when you're going to feel like, well, I can't delegate because I have to tell them to just, I have to check in between the steps. Right?
Yes, exactly. Oh, Gina, so many pieces of wisdom from that. I think I was pulling out I think type A personalities are very much, but like, no, Gina, I want it done this way. And I need a checklist for this. And I'm hearing myself even like, no, I've got to check in on that because if it's not done, but you're right. When you're checking in all the time, people feel very micromanaged. They feel that they can't make a mistake. They get nervous to make decisions because like, oh, what if this isn't what you wanted? Or, oh, this is what she really meant, but I did it this way. And like, oh, what does she actually want? And then you really are answering every single question that you possibly could be answering. And so I think it's just like so much brilliance in that. So you guys, I had Gina tease you on what she's going to speak about at Women Dentists Connect. I wanted her to do a teaser because at the end of the day, this is the type of stuff that we will be having at Women Dentists Connect. It's for all women in dentistry to come together, to unite together, to learn from one another, to rise up together. And Gina, gosh, I need to do more podcasts with you because I'm like, okay, taking notes. And I love when I have a podcast that I'm taking notes on because I'm actively engaged. I know our listeners are actively engaged. So many takeaways, guys, like the vivid vision, living intentionally, delegate authority, making sure that you like the $200 rule is such a brilliant rule, but like actually mean it. I know I've said that, but do I actually mean it? Like I've had people ask me, oh, Kiera, like I spent so much time on this thing that costs $25. And I'm like, why on earth are we doing that? Like, no, like just get it done. It's totally fine. But are my words truly following the actions that I have, or have my actions created an unsafe space for my team? So gosh, I'm so jazzed. I was like, I'm glad I'm going to Women Dentist Connect to hear what you're speaking on. You guys, truly, we have an incredible lineup. Gina's going to be there. We've got Erin Elliott coming, Desiree Yazdan's coming, Mark Costas is coming, Summer Caswell, myself, Amanda Wilson. We have such a fun lineup of people because Summer and I believe that empowered women empower other women. And so, Gina, you've empowered me today. You are an empowered powerhouse of a woman. Like, I just love that we're also friends, so I can pick your brain as like a friend, like, hey, Gina, what do I need help with? But that's like the power of this group, is to meet people that you can actually ask the questions that you might be embarrassed to admit. I mean, it's hard to, you guys, I have a podcast, I have a dental consulting company. We're supposed to be able to have all the answers. And yet I don't have all the answers. And I'm not afraid to admit that, because I know I have great resources around me that I'm willing to tap into. So Gina, gosh, such a good podcast. I feel lit up right now. Gina, I also know you have Yappy. So I want people, if they want to get in touch with you for Yappy, it's a patient communication software. How do they get in touch with you for that? Because not only will you be at Women Dentist Connect, but there are other ways that they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So thank you for mentioning this. So the website is yappyapp.com. It's yapiapp.com. I'm around on Facebook. I am on Dental Success Network. I'm on Dental Success Institute Facebook group. I'm always around. Even like just look me up and send me slide into my DMs.
Yes, Gina really is. You're around all the time, and you are really active on the social media groups as well. So truly. And Gina, you're such a giving person. Like you said at the beginning, you at events are always hugging people. You're talking like you can work a room of just making friends in an instant. So you guys check out Gina. She's incredible. Gina, thank you. Thank you for being a part of Women Dentist Connect. Guys, go check out, get your tickets to Women Dentist Connect. They are only 50% off until the end of October. So hop on over there, use Gina's code, because you also get a buy one, get one free. So bring your friend. Like, there's no reason not to. I'm such a chicken, and I don't like to get out of my comfort zone. So I always bring a buddy. That can be one of your girlfriends. Like, it can be anyone you want to bring with you, but use Gina's code, GINA. Gina, as always, thank you for just being a good influence and someone who's positively impacting this world.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Yes, absolutely. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Dental A-Team podcast. And you guys, that's a wrap on the Dental A-Team. But don't worry, the Dental A-Team actually has a newsletter where we send out more tips and tricks every single week straight to your inbox. No, these are not podcast topics. These are additional topics that have downloadable forms. So head on over right now to thedentalateam.com, register for our free newsletter. We don't spam you. We don't send you junk. We just send you tips and tricks for your team. This is a great way, you guys. You could get your whole team on an email campaign if you can't get them to listen to the podcast. So head on over to thedentalateam.com right now and become part of our newsletter family.